The internet is wrong. It is possible to get a cheap car, even in this economy, and this is one of them. The Honda Element. My name's Adam, and this is my car channel. Some people say that the Honda Element was a successful failure. While launching in 2003, they only managed to produce approximately 325,000 of these before ending production in 2011. But you have to understand, at the time, this was really a forward-thinking vehicle. This was nothing but function, no form whatsoever. This car was all about practicality, reliability, economy, and nothing more. These were extremely popular with college students, young families, and basically anyone who needed an affordable car to haul anything, from surfboards to mountain bikes. If you needed something to go coast to coast with all of your stuff, the Honda Element was for you. Don't believe everything you read, folks, because this is one of the most reliable cars you could ever buy. A 2005 Honda Element. As you can see, it's completely and utterly practical because it has these barn doors to access the back seat. All of these seats in here fold completely flat, and you can even take the rear seats out. Plus, around the back, we have even more storage space. Now, with the rear seats in place, you have about 25 cubic feet of cargo space, and with the rear seats completely removed, you have about 74.5 cubic feet of cargo space. Now that's more than some New York City apartments. And even I can fit in the back. I'm 6'4". Now the driver's seat is in my driving position, and it is very easy to climb right in. Now there's only 2 seats. There isn't a third one in the middle because these seats do fold up and come out of the way. Headroom's a bit tight if you're my height, but if you're in the front where the floor is lower, I mean, look at all this room that I have. You can't get better than that for tall people. What do you need to look out for on these? Well, not much really, because it's a Honda. They're made to be bulletproof reliable. Other than fluids and general maintenance, these rarely go wrong. However, I can tell you that this car has previously had the air conditioning compressor replaced, the catalytic converter replaced, and recently a new alternator. Now that was at an additional cost, but remember, this is a cheap car. You're not paying $1,000 a month and 12.5% interest to own this. You write a check and you get a title, and at the end of the day, it's all yours. Now, one thing when looking over any old car that you're interested in purchasing, you want to know if it's been in an accident. Now, there are various search engines on the internet that can give you that information, but you can do a bit of detective work yourself. For example, right here on the quarter panel, you see "and VIN tag." And if you look around various spots of the vehicle, they have more of these on every body panel. If they match the VIN that's on the dashboard, you know that that body panel has never been replaced. Other ones can be found right here, on the front fenders, here, and here, and there's even one on the hood. So you know that this car has never been taken apart. And if you like camping, as you can see, all of these seats fold completely flat. So you could just cruise and snooze wherever you want. Oh. Need a nap on the road. It's been a long day. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get a reliable car these days. Yes, you may have to put some money into a cheap car that you buy. Yes, it may once in a while leave you on the side of the road here and there. But if you bought an old Ford, that's on you. If you don't want to sit on the side of the road, buy an old Honda, because this will always work. Now, some of you may be asking, how did this particular vehicle come into my possession? Well, it's actually a really interesting story. I have a new neighbor next door who came to me and asked me for advice on purchasing a car in order to replace her total Toyota Camry. And she just didn't want to spend the money in this market because, as we all know, it's absolutely crazy. Even somebody with good credit these days can get quoted in excess of 12.5% interest on a new or used car loan. So what are your options? Well, her search criteria was something economical and reliable, and something that she could put loads of stuff in because she's a science teacher. So this fits the bill perfectly. At the time of this advice, she didn't even know that this car even existed, and now she loves it, and she's lent it to me today in order to review it for you. Now, this particular car has a bit of an interesting story behind it. It was originally bought by a park ranger in Miami, Florida, a man who worked for the National Park Service, and it ended up in Yosemite National Park for a number of years as his personal vehicle, hence the Yosemite sticker that's on the back of it. Eventually, it made its way to Georgia, changed hands once again, and we got this from a gentleman who had inherited a car from a family member and just no longer needed this one. But it's been well cared for over the years. I have personally looked over this car, and I cannot find any major flaw with it. The odometer reads out just a little over 134,000 miles, and all of the body panels on this car are original. And now that I've showed you where to look, now you can find out how to look too. Now, the price. What did we pay for this car? Well, I didn't pay anything for it, actually. I'm just borrowing it for the day. But my friend, Sarah, purchased this car for $5,000. Can you believe that? You can get all this car for $5,000 with working air conditioning, working radio, working windows, working everything. Okay, sure, the windshield's a bit cracked and that'll need doing, and there are some other maintenance items that she's had to do in the few months that she's owned the car. But who cares, right? You're not paying $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month. You're not paying 12%, 13%, even 15% interest today. Sorry, America, you lost the sale. Was we went ahead and decided to recycle instead of buying new. And when you recycle an old car, when you keep an old car on the road and maintain it properly, you use less raw materials, and that is kind to baby polar bears. The simplicity of this vehicle starts with the engine. It was borrowed from the Honda Accord from the time period. A 2-liter, 4-cylinder engine making approximately 168 horsepower and around 140 foot-pounds of torque. Either made it to a manual or an automatic gearbox. 5-speed manual, and in this case, a 4-speed auto. The later series upgraded to a 5-speed automatic. And they were also offered on either front or all-wheel drive configurants. But the best thing about this car was the interior. There was just nothing but space in it everywhere you look, and it's completely washable. Seriously, the floors in this car are made out of rubber. The seat material in this car is made out of the same neoprene that wetsuits are made out of, which means you can literally hose this car off, and I have done. Now, I will stress, if you are a little bit apprehensive about buying this car or any old car for very little money, please spend a few $100s and take it to a shop near you and get an opinion, preferably from a local dealer or a valued independent in your community. If you don't know a good mechanic, I'm sure you have someone in your life that does, but this mechanic recommends Honda for you, for me, and for everybody else, because it's the best. And another thing you get from Honda is determination. This was a company that was started by a man who was told his entire life that he would never amount to anything by Toyota, by Formula One, by General Motors, by the entire industry. And what he did was he took them on and beat them at their own game. Honda is responsible for customer service that we know today. Honda was the first person ever in the history of the automotive industry to market cars specifically towards women in the 1970s. In fact, he did the pre-delivery inspections to customers at the factory in Ohio where this car was built in the late 70s and the early 80s to any customer back then who picked up a car, including my mother. She had an 82 Accord and then totaled it, and I grew up in the one she replaced it with. So for me, this is a bit of a walk down memory lane because I grew up in a Honda. Your kids can grow up in a Honda, and they will be safe and reliable and comfortable for all days to come. Thanks for watching. The Honda Element, 100% dog friendly. Right, Strudel? Do you like the Honda Element? Do you like the Honda Element? Yes, you do. Thanks for watching.